Time I should have done it. You know, you always, you put it off, put it off,
Sure.
put it off. I've been, you know, practicing pharmacy for 60 years, standing behind a case all those years. And
Yeah.
I guess they eventually wear out.
Right.
Because this one wore out first, and time I should have done it. You know, you always, you put it off, put it off,
Sure.
put it off. I've been, you know, practicing pharmacy for 60 years, standing behind a case all those years. And
Yeah.
I guess they eventually wear out.
Right.
Because this one wore out first, and this one's going to have to be done when we get this one done.
Yeah.
Because this hurt the least.
Yeah, mine was my right knee. I just got to where I couldn't climb steps.
Well, that's the first thing I got is
every
climb
time
them or come down them.
Oh yeah, the pain would. Well, mainly mine was going up them. I just couldn't. You know, the pain got so bad whenever I tried to climb the steps.
We used to try to go to the baseball games over here,
Uh-huh.
and if I didn't get an outside rail
Right.
or a shoulder to hold on,
Right.
I was in bad shape.
Right.
So we just finally went on.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
can't do it.
Well, tell me. I've read this, and I know something of your story. Tell me the story again, sort of your service. I know you.
Well, I don't know.
You grew up in Gilmer, and you.
I don't know how much you can.
Yeah.
A lot of things we left out of this.
Right.
I mean, because of the.
Yeah.
I don't think, stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I'll start off about up at. I'm born and raised in Gilmer, Texas,
Right.
and graduated from high school there. I got out of high school in January of '43. Lieutenant graduated two of us fellows, R.H. Barrett and myself, to come down to A&M to get into one of these military programs,
Right.
offer candidate schools.
Yeah.
I was trying to get in the Air Force, and Dick was trying to get in the Navy.
Right.
So anyway, that's how it all got started. So instead of graduating with my class in June, he graduated two of us in January. And we came down and entered the semester. At that time, it must have been 3 or 4 semesters. We entered A&M. And so we were here for a while, and I didn't get in the Air Force training program that I wanted to get into. So I just resigned A&M and went to Houston, went to work in the shipyard. And so I went immediately to Ellington Field and joined the Air Force. And they told me I would be called up in a very short time. Well, this was May. I wasn't called up until January, which you didn't consider. I didn't consider it a short time.
Right.
But anyway, that's the way it all evolved. And they called us up on. There were 50 of us in this group. They called up on the 8th of January in '44. And all of us were from Texas, and all of us were from the Houston area except me. And that's because I came in here from Gilmer and was working. So I still have a buddy living in Houston that I flew with I was with from the day one until we discharged.
Wow.
And in fact, he was here just last week. There's 3 of us living of the original crew of 10, and the one boy's name is Don Freilich, and that's Froehlich. They got it spelled wrong. And
That's the fellow from Houston.
that's the
Don Freilich.
Don Freilich from Houston. And so, in fact, of the whole group that we went in with, we were sitting here the other day on the couch, Don and I and his son and Gene, and we called 2 of our buddies. One was named Mikulski out of Carlsbad, Texas, and one was named Eugene Hodge out of Texarkana, Arkansas. And we all went in together. We were all on different crews together, but we're the only ones still living out of this whole bunch. So, in fact, can you mute that whenever you want to?
Sure.
Can you? I want to.
Okay.
Yeah. Gene, enjoying. remind me. I'll speak of it, but remind me to give you a copy of it. And when you're through with it, you can bring it back. But it's a book by one of these boys that I was with.
Okay. You have the book?
I have the book.
Good.
He wrote the book.
All this is for, understand, this isn't going to be ever put on the air or anything. This is just for me to grab my notes.
Go ahead and edit it and make
for me to do my notes.
Then answer me the question.
Yeah. This is just for, so I don't have to be writing while I'm talking to you.
Okay.
That's all
that's
that's
good.
for. Yeah.
Anyway, we're talking about old times, and we're having a reunion, which will be make a storyteller out of me. Let's see, 45, be close to 60th reunion in Dallas.
Right.
In September this year.
Right.
That's my bomb group.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so we four, except the boy from New York, Ed Jordan, who's the same name but different. We weren't kin. He may not be there, but the other three of us will be there. So anyway, that's how I'm getting things before as they come to my mind. But you sift them out. Right. Okay. So anyway, we all got together. I mean, we were inducted on the 8th of January, 1944, and we were put on a bus and were shipped to San Antonio, and we went first indoctrination was in the Air Force was at San Antonio, and so we were there for about 3 days getting shots and doing KP and everything else they have us do, And then we were shipped to, and this is the whole group of us now, we were shipped to Shepherd Field at Wichita Falls. Right. And that's where we got our basic training. And after we got our basic training, we were shipped out of Shepherd Field to Harlan, to Laredo, to the Air Corps Gunnery School. And so we were there for the duration of the however many weeks it took to become Air Corps gunner. And from there we were shipped to Lincoln, Nebraska. And I'll never will forget that trip. We went up there on a train actually, and we were already in khakis in Laredo. And we got off the train in Nebraska, and it was snowing. So we about freeze to death, and everybody running around there trying to get us some winter clothes. And so old Don Frederick, who was one of my dearest friends and still is, I said, Don, we better get, and all they didn't have gas up there, they had coal stoves. And I said, we better get next to one of the big bedded coal stoves if we're going to keep warm. So we did. He got on one side of the stove, I got on the other, and we stoked the stove some night, and some of the other guys did the rest of the night, try to keep it warm. But we were there about a week in uniforms and shots and stuff. They're bringing all your records up to date, and they shipped us by train to Pueblo, Colorado. And on the train going to Pueblo, Colorado, we were crewed up. In other words, there'd be 4 or 5 of us together, and you'd have the guy that was going to be your pilot. Hewson was our pilot, and Richards was our co-pilot. And they got us all together. I guess our names were given to them, and they looked us up. But anyway, so we were on the train going to Colorado, and old Hewson was quite a cut up and everything, and he was the you think about it then about the pilots being young. Well, he was one of the oldest on the crew. He was 24 years old, and so but Hewson said he's reading off our names, and he read my name, and he said a ball gunner, and Frelick tail gunner, and he said a ball gunner, and he said, how the hell can this happen? He said, first I get 2 ball gunners, And I said, no, Captain, that's not the way it's going to be. I'm going to be your tail gunner, so we can fly together. Don and I won't fly together. We both trained as ball gunner. And he said, well, how in the hell did I get 2 Texans on my crew? And I said, you just got lucky. And that's sort of the way the crew was the whole time. I mean,
right. Yeah.
It was,
we were very close.
Yeah, very close, and had a lot of fun together.
Right.
Had no problems within the crew, or or anything else we couldn't take care of. But we had no personality conflicts, and so then we trained for 3 months in Pueblo, Colorado, and then we shipped to delay en route to Topeka, Kansas. And so we got a 10-day delay en route. In other words, from Pueblo you could go home, but in 10 days you had to be back to Topeka, Kansas. And that's where, so we all met up again in Topeka, Kansas, and shipped out from there by train to Camp Patrick Henry, Virginia. This was a point of embarkation for all kinds of services, Air Force, everything. I never will forget, we had a bunch of Rangers there, and they were training all the time, and drunk night and day, raising hell. And so finally we after being there 2 or 3 days, we boarded ship. And the reason it took so long, we had, I believe, 172 ships in this convoy.
Wow.
And so they had to load everybody up.
Yeah.
So once we got loaded up, one morning we pulled out of Camp Patrick Henry, Virginia, and so we were on our way, and we had a naval escort. Now I'll just tell you this: you leave out what you want to leave out, and
Okay.
we had a naval escort, and that circled this convoy at all times to try to keep the German submarines off of it.
Right.
Which they did a good job. They never got in, and so one night we heard all this commotion, explosions, everything. Oh hell, what's going on now? What happened was that the Navy had detected a German submarines in the area, and they started laying depth charges. And but nothing never came of that one. And so then later on, close to the end of we were headed towards Naples, Italy. Nobody knew that. Why, we got in one of the damnedest storms you ever got into in your life. Of course, everybody goes across the Atlantic tells that. And it was about a 3-day storm, and it was you got 2 meals a day. and you ate on deck, and I always wanted to eat on deck because there was usually sunshine, but the guys that eating below deck had tables that were waist high, and the ships were rocking so like this that you might be eating out of my platter this time, I might be eating out of yours the next time. But nobody gave a damn. If you were hungry, you were hungry.
Right.
So we got, I think it's 28 days later, we got into, we pulled into Augusta, Sicily.
Yeah.
Right off the coast of Italy, right off the coast of Naples.
So the trip took 28 days from Virginia to Italy?
It was approximately 20. It might have been 30, but it was pretty close.
Right.
And so we were docked in Augusta City. And so they said, everybody, go swimming, won't go swimming. Well, hell, I just jumped up on top deck. I just jumped off. We all went swimming, hadn't had a bath in 28 days,
Yeah.
And then, but hell, I don't know which was worse, that old salt water or,
Yeah.
But the next morning we pulled out, which doesn't seem like to me, at that time, I don't know how far it is, across the Straits of Messina to the port of Italy. and that's where we docked and unloaded. And that night, and maybe the next night, we stayed in camp there in Italy, in Naples. And next morning, while we boarded a little Italian narrow gauge troop train, they took us to a base up in Panatello, Italy.
Right.
And so that's where we worked out of. And I think I flew my first mission the day before my 19th birthday, which would have been the 26th of October. And and we just flew every, sometimes you'd fly 3 missions a week, sometimes you'd fly 4 missions a week, sometimes you wouldn't fly any for 2 weeks.
Right.
According to what the weather was.
Right.
And so we just did our missions. I mean, that's the way we did our missions, on things you don't forget. And on the 20th of January 1945, 65, yeah.
25.
Yeah. Why, I got wounded and over Linz, Austria. And we were flying about 28,000 feet, and it was been about 60, 65 degrees below zero. And so I got hit, my oxygen was shot out. And so they put me back on oxygen, and they pulled my turret around into the slipstream off those engines. And so the whole side of my face was frozen, like this. In fact, I could look like this, and I could see my ear. And so anyway, they got me out of the turret and put a walk-around bottle on me, and so I survived and got back to the base that night, and they took me to the hospital. And it was a pretty big mission. Well, it was Vienna, I think, and a lot of injuries. And I was the last one taken care of that night, I would assume, because I was the least injured, I don't know. But I was the last one taken care of that night. And this old major, of course, the old man had been working all day, a medical major, and he said, "Well, Sergeant, I think I'm going to have to take the ear off." And I said, "No, not mine, you're not major." And he said, "Well, if it meant gangrene, losing or dying, what would you rather have?" I said, "Well, no, I'd rather have none." And so a captain standing there that had just returned from New York from the Burn Institute. And so he said, "Well, Major, let me see if I can help the sergeant out here. Give me a few days with this new drug." And so he had the nurse take that cup and zip the blister and the water all around out of it. And they packed it with penicillin powder, brand new in those days. And just took it by ear and taped it back up against my head. 20 days later, I was out of the hospital and flying again.
Wow.
So, but the reason I wouldn't have had to go back to flying that fast is that my crew was getting ahead of me.
Right.
And I didn't want them to go home without me.
Exactly.
So anyway, I started flying again and flew some volunteer missions with other crews that I'd seen in the mess hall or something, but it's not like flying with your own crew, So I flew 4 extra missions. My crew had finished up and gone to Naples to ship back to the States. And I flew my last mission on, I think, the 18th of April, I'm not sure. But the next day, the colonel flew me down to Naples, so I'd be with my crew to come home. And that's the story.
Now, I was reading on your very first mission, the day before your 19th birthday, weren't y'all hit on that mission?
Oh, we were hit on a lot of missions. I just didn't say.
Yeah, you were hit on a lot of them.
Well, I would say out of the 35 missions we flew, which was the required missions,
right,
to come home, that we were hit at least on 30 of them.
Wow.
At least. And
so what did you do on most of them? Just keep on the mission, or were you forced down?
Oh, no. We flew the mission.
Yeah.
went right through the flak and went to the target, bombed the target, came off the target. Some of them got shot down, some of them got shot up.
Now you were a nose gunner or a tail gunner?
Tail gunner.
You were a tail gunner.
Mm-hmm.
So your job was to sit in the capsule and
my job was to protect the tail.
Yeah.
And so I thought, and when you first went over there, you were always in Air Force pilot, you were always Dog 21. That's the last plane in the flight, which is the most dangerous place you can be. Well, there's no way you can get out of it. Everybody that goes through there either goes through it and survives, or and so we flew Dog 21. Dangerous place you can be. Well, there's no way you can get out of it. Everybody that goes through there either goes through it and survives, or and so we flew Dog 21 a lot more than I thought they were Dog 21s. We flew it about 6 or 7 times.
Right.
And we got shot at one time over Szombathely, Hungary. We got attacked by about, I'd say 2109, and I was sitting there. We were the last one in the box, and I just happened to look up and see him, and I said, hey, Captain, I said, we got some bandits back here on our ass. And he said, what? And I said, 6 o'clock high. And he said, okay. And so we're the first one back, and so I started shooting, and I was just shooting out of range, but just shooting to let them know I was awake. So anyway, we had them. Then they came from the circles, came from the front, and then but at that time we, of course, anybody going home, that is any of our fighter planes or anybody low on fuel or something, why we'd call whatever their code name was for that day, Big Red Fox. We're at 28 Angels and getting hit by bogeys, and man, just like that, they'd be on you. The P-51s, and they'd either shoot them down or run them off. So it wasn't. It was eventful at the time, but it wasn't very eventful because it all happens. Everybody's trained so good. Yeah. And so it was just.
But still, you're a young kid. You're sitting in that tail gun capsule, and that's pretty lonely, isn't it? Well, I mean, you're responsibility.
I'll tell you what I did. This is just as a side. I used to, from the time we got on oxygen, I'd light up a cigar. I smoked cigars all my life. As a kid, I smoked cigars, and I'd smoke cigars, and I did this as courage more than anything. And so it took a long time to smoke a cigar at 28,000 feet because you didn't have any oxygen, Right. And so one day I was sitting there sucking on that cigar, and we got a direct hit. We got a direct hit twice, but we got a direct hit, and it hit in the Bombay, and it hit that Bombay tank, and all that gasoline, shoo, comes right back to the tail, and I'm standing in gasoline. Everything gasoline, smoking.
With a lit cigar.
Smoking that cigar. The gasoline put out the cigar because the cigar, it was such a small amount of oxygen. I never smoked another cigar.
It could have been the other way around. That cigar could have exploded that gasoline.
Yeah, exploded that gasoline. Anything can explode that gasoline at any time, and you don't know when or where. And the first thing to do, if you're real smart, is they hit that bell, you better be gone. Don't stop around and see if Joe's ready to go or anything else. You better be ready to go and save your ass. And get out of there. But
you never had to eject?
No, never did. Just very, very fortunate.
If you were hit 30 times, though, there must have been some times that
when I say
were ready to to go, right?
If we hit, in other words, we were attacked at least 30 times. We never went up there to see to bomb your house that you didn't shoot at it.
Right.
So
Now, what plane were you in?
I was in a B-24.
In the B-24.
Uh-huh. In the 15th Air Force.
And this crew, until you got injured, you were with the same crew?
Same crew, and then I flew 4 missions with other crews to catch up, and then I got back with my crew.
Now, you flew missions pretty much everywhere, all over
Southern Europe.
Southern Europe.
Yeah, we went to
Berlin?
Oh, we went to Berlin, South Berlin, but we're mostly south of that. Went to Regensburg, Munich, Linz, Austria, Hungary, went everything. We went to Floresti, went to all of them.
Yeah.
Everything south. Well, in other words, they set us in Italy to try to get the most fuel efficient, you know, to how far we could go north to help the guys from the 8th coming down from England. And so what we tried to do was sandwich the Germans in between us, which we did.
Right.
And finally, the battle plan was to knock out their gasoline.
Right.
Knock out their gasoline, and then knock out their fighter planes that shot our bombers down, you know, knock them out as fast as you could. Of course, if you got the gasoline, they couldn't fly.
Right.
But we had the mission at the Wiener Neustadt, which was their main fighter assembly plant, I would say. We'd go up there, and we'd lose 30 or 40 planes. It wasn't unusual. And go up there and shoot down 30 or 40. When it was just it was it was harem sarum all the time you were there.
Did you lose any of your crew?
Did what?
Did you lose any of your
Never
crew?
lost a crew. Me and the bombardier were the only ones injured on the crew. He got shot
Right.
with shrapnel, like I did, and all of us went over together. All of us came back together.
Yeah. That's amazing. Now, this was in the fall of 44 or in early 45.
Yeah,
So
we
this was
went
after.
actually,
So this is as the war was beginning to wind down,
well,
or it was after D-Day. Right?
we didn't think so.
Yeah.
We went first mission. Say there was the 26th of October, 45, wasn't it?
44.
44, yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
44.
Right.
So it had begun to wind down now. It had wound down a lot by the time 45. Well, we were fighting real big time up through March.
Well, this was the winter. That winter was the winter of the Battle of the Bulge, right?
Right.
Yeah. In the winter of 44.
Right.
On into 45.
Right.
So, but I guess you weren't flying anywhere around
The Battle of the
Belgium area.
They were too
right
far
there.
north.
Yeah. Okay. 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 But you were still trying to knock out fuel.
Oh yeah, we were fighting. In other words, if, fuel was number 1, and railroad marshalling yards was number 2. Our fighters were number 3. But the railroad marshalling yards, you try to jam up all the traffic, off all the rail traffic, and slow it. And we'd go to Munich and bomb it like today, and we drop bombs that said, some of these bombs are loaded, some of the, in German in other words, some of these bombs are dud, and some of them will kill you.
Right.
So just do whatever you want to, you know.
Yeah.
And we'd drop them, and you talk about having an effect, by they had German guards there trying to make the laborers work. Because hell, and we dropped those bombs, they may go off a day later.
Exactly.
Some of them, you know, and
Yeah.
so then we'd go back the next day, and maybe we'd just crisscross them, just to try to keep them guessing, and so they wouldn't have many laborers go back to help build those railroads.
Yeah.
Munich was a major one. Munich was a real, of course I've got all those pictures. Munich was a real rail yard. So it was, see, from up here towards France and England, all the way down towards Hungary, this way, there was what we call one main rail run, and it would go through Munich, Linz, Austria, Vienna, right on down. And so every one of those, and of course most of those big places had big refineries too. So we were bombing their refineries and their rail yards too. In fact, half of us, some days we'd put up 800 planes, and half of us would be bombing the rail lines, and the other half would be bombing refineries.
Right.
Or fighter airfields, whatever.
Where were you based all this time? Where'd you lay your head at night?
We're based in outside of Panatello, Italy, which is about 10 miles outside of Panatello.
Okay, so that's where you flew back to after your
Every
missions.
day.
Right.
Yeah. We had a.
Was that just an American base? Were there Brits there too?
Oh
or?
no, this us.
Just you. Okay.
And there were, in fact, there were very few Brits in Italy. In the Air Force. They were up, if they were up north.
They were mainly defending their own.
Well, yeah, but if they were up in Italy, they were up north in Italy with our fighter bases trying to defend against the Germans' attack. Of course, the Germans did not have a large bomber force. Wasn't worth a damn to begin with. So we didn't have a lot of problems with those. Let me get my knees worked in. I'll take you into the office and show you.
Yeah, I want to see your pictures.
See some of the pictures.
Yeah, get your knee going there and we'll.
That's all he said. I thought you would get on my ass for everything. They said, don't you think you better shave? I said, yes sir, believe I did. I shaved and I never grew them again.
Yeah.
This is a great old boy. He got a hell of a sense of humor. And if you get a chance after you read it, call him, and if you would, and tell him what a great book you think.
So he was in your.
He trained with me. He was not on my crew.
Okay, but he trained with.
He trained with me. We flew, but like I said, he flew down. I mean, he was shot down in 6 missions north.
Are you referenced in this book?
No, I'm not.
Okay, but that's. Oh yeah, I want to read that. I love that stuff. You got any other pictures?
Well,
What else you got?
let's see.
What's all over in here?
That right there is a P-51 B. Y-51 Blackbird, I believe. That is flown, test pilot,
Right.
by an old boy from Georgia, Texas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he graduated from A&M here, and he was the test pilot in that favorite program for many years. And he died of cancer.
Do you have a copy of your discharge paper? Your discharge certificate? Because I always find that real helpful in sort of giving me a summary.
Let me put my hands on it here. Well, here it is. Right here. This is the one Coleman Powell gave me. Well, this is not it. Oh, this one right here.
Okay, now this is your. Where's your Purple Heart?
That's it.
Oh, it's in here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you mean
the metal?
The metal.
Yeah.
It's gonna be up here. And this.
Oh, here it is. I bet it's right here.
Should be either that or.
That's the air metal.
Yeah, that's air metal.
It's Purple Heart.
I don't know that one.
Yes, sir. There it is.
Yeah.
Well, you need to display that.
Well, they're just dusty. Really. And of course, you never wear the ribbon again anyway, unless you had some big military or something. You only wear the ribbon. Of course, I got the air medal and I don't know what else, but those are the main ones.
Do you have your discharge
certificate?
Yeah, that has your whole summary of your service on it. That thing that you get when you get out. I mean, I don't know what.
Everybody. Another thing.
Yeah.
Everybody always waits for.
Yeah. If you don't, that's okay. if you
I'm
don't.
just trying to think where it would be, even all this mess.
Right. No, well, that's okay. I didn't know if you had it somewhere somewhere easy to get to, that's fine. But if you don't, that's okay too.
That's my older brother.
That's your older brother?
Mm-hmm,
That's the same one that,
that's
okay.
when he was in A&M.
Oh, okay. And he went to A&M too?
Mm-hmm.
What was his name?
Edwin.
Edwin?
Edwin.
And he was killed in action?
No, he came home.
Oh, he came
He
home.
finished his mission. In fact, he did a tour of duty over there in Air Force of Occupation.
Right.
But he came home and he and Aggie opened they were both engineers, and they opened a air conditioning company in Austin.
I see.
And they were going great guns. They were just really doing the business. They had a bunch of big state contracts. And every day his job was go around and say, Jim, what do you need this afternoon in material? Tom, what do you need? He go around to all the jobs. And he was in one job. It was the basement of T.H. Williams' company.
Right.
And a welder laid his torch down, and it caught the clothing on fire that was stored in there. Killed 3 Aggies just like that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. He was that was in 1950.
Oh my goodness.
So
but now is that the same brother whose picture I have over there?
that one.
Is that the
Yeah.
same brother?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now here's old black man.
Is that the B-24?
That's the one.
Oh, I see.
Just not as colored. This I've had this, and the lady, her daddy was Bluebell Kramer.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember her name.
Mm-hmm.
And she was a customer of mine up there at Allison's. And so one day I saw on TV that she did painting. So I asked her, I told her, would you do a painting for me? And she said, oh, Jim, I can't paint. I said, well, just give it a try. Of course, I'd seen it on TV. So I gave her this or one similar to that. And this
And
is
she
what,
came with that?
That's what she gave.
Wow.
And that's what it, of course, that's what it was. The picture I had was a black and white.
Uh-huh.
And so I had a friend of mine who's the photographer in the Woodlands, a niece. She brought it up this good. And you gave it the green here and stuff. And then I gave it to her and got her to see what she could do with it.
This would be pretty with a border on it, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Just sticking it in there.
This was a plane that was next to yours?
Yeah.
Or in the formation?
Just one plane over in the formation.
So you saw this happen?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who took the picture?
Who takes pictures of the Waste Center?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would take it if I had one in the tail, but I didn't have one in the tail. But he got hit in a number 3 and it exploded. The guy that got out was standing in the bomb bay watching the bomb explode.
Mm-hmm.
Just for kicks. He didn't belong there.
Mm-hmm.
And it blew him out.
Yeah.
He broke both his legs. He landed in an olive orchard.
But he was the only survivor?
Almost like.
Yeah.
He landed in an olive orchard almost in the middle of a German prisoner of war camp.
Oh my goodness.
And they took him in, and he was first lieutenant, and he became the commanding officer with 2 broken legs.
Wow.
And so he stayed in and retired as a colonel, and he died another year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any. And you see that little armband up there?
Yes, ma'am.
That was mine.
I see.
I was all of 14 years old, I think.
Uh-huh.
And I got my wings.
Right.
We had a little, thing up on
Towers.
yeah, a little tower light, and we had to watch for airplanes. But this was down in Beasley, Texas.
Yeah.
And they had built that, and we
Yeah.
watched for airplanes, and we had to report them to Houston when they came.
And so
We had our pictures on the wall.
And you were the observer
Yes.
at 14. My goodness. You were serving your country then. So how long have y'all been married?
Long
40
time.
years.
40 years.
40 years.
Yeah. Oh, is this thing still on?
Huh?
Is that thing still on?
Yeah, but that's okay. That means I don't have to write stuff down.
This is a mess.
No, it's a beautiful mess.
Yeah.
We're always going to stop and clean it up and never do.
For the whole house.
It's a beautiful mess.
There's one. And you don't have the one about, yeah, you have Bobby Stevens over there.
Yeah,
That's
sure, sure.
another Gilmer boy that was test
Uh-huh.
pilot and director of that plane right there.
Right.
I told him about that.
Yeah.
Right.